Libra, my dear, from the very first moment we begin today, I want you to hear this truth clearly. You are the light, and no matter how carefully someone may try to hide it, that light has always unsettled those who fear their own shadows. This is not about paranoia. This is about the quiet knowing in your soul that someone, perhaps in your family, perhaps from your past, has smiled at you, dressed with elegance, spoken with sweetness, yet carried in their heart a subtle resistance to your growth. You've felt it. You've seen it in the way your excitement is met with polite hesitation, in how your ideas are gently dismissed under the guise of protecting you. That is why you are here, right now. This video isn't a coincidence, it's a divine appointment. I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly within yourself. Have you ever felt that certain people prefer you to stay exactly where you are, pleasant, balanced, not rocking the boat, because your forward movement would reveal just how stagnant they've become? If a name or a face comes to mind, if your body reacts with that subtle tightening in the chest, then you're already sensing the energy we're going to talk about today. What you're about to hear is more than a horoscope. It's a spiritual intervention meant to give you back the authority over your own path. You see, as a Libra, your love for harmony and beauty is one of your greatest gifts, but it can also become the perfect trap. The family which I'm talking about doesn't need to shout or openly sabotage you. They know how to weave their control into moments of kindness, into well-timed advice, into a look that says, "Don't change too much." But you were not born to be a backdrop for someone else's comfort. You were born to balance the scales of truth, and that means you must first restore the balance within yourself. Right now, as you're hearing this, I invite you to make this moment active, not passive. Type in the comments, "I have seen my true light." Do it to mark the shift that begins today. That simple act is more than a statement, it's a declaration to the universe that you will no longer hide your light to protect someone else's insecurities. And let's be clear, your presence here tells me you didn't just stumble upon this channel. The universe led you to this space because it's time to recognize that stability does not always mean aliveness. That subtle fatigue you've been waking up with? It's not from overwork, it's the weight of your spirit being held in a cage of someone else's making. Before we go deeper, let me take a moment to thank you. I'm deeply grateful for your presence here, for every like, every thoughtful comment you've shared, every subscription that brings you closer to the Zodiac Whisper Tarot family. Your support is the heartbeat of this work, and it's because of you that I'm able to bring forward messages like this, messages that don't just predict your future but help you reclaim it. So I'll ask you again, Libra, what brought you here today? Was it a dream that lingered in your mind this morning? A sudden pull to click on this title? Or that quiet voice in your chest whispering that there is more to your story than what you've been living? Whatever it was, trust it. These moments are not accidents. They are the Spirit's way of placing the right key in your hand at exactly the right time. You don't need anyone's permission to open the door ahead of you. You don't need to earn your right to change. And you certainly don't need to keep performing the role of the perfect peacekeeper when it costs you your own truth. The time has come to step out from behind that role, to meet yourself in full light, and to remember that you are not here to be managed, you are here to be magnificent. Stay with me until the very end, because what the universe is about to reveal will not only confirm what you've always felt, it will give you the strength to act on it. Now, let's open the first spiritual gate together and begin the work your soul came here for. There are moments in life when the most beautiful smile in the room hides the most carefully constructed barrier to your growth. The person may be dressed impeccably, carrying themselves with grace and composure, offering warmth in their tone and tenderness in their gestures. Yet, there is a subtle heaviness in the air around them, a kind of fog that makes you second-guess your next move. This is not a fog you imagined, it's an energy you felt in your bones, a quiet undercurrent of jealousy or fear that doesn't lash out, but instead weaves itself into the fabric of your daily life. You may find it in the way they compliment you but follow it with a cautionary word that dampens your excitement, or how they smile when you speak of your dreams but quickly redirect the conversation to safer, smaller topics. In astrology, Libra's natural instinct is to keep the peace, to hold relationships together in balance and avoid overt conflict. This is one of your most admirable traits, but it can also become the very reason you stay inside what I call the golden glass cage. It's golden because it feels comfortable, even beautiful, with moments of warmth and familiarity. Yet it's a cage because it keeps you from stretching your wings. The person holding the keys to that cage isn't necessarily an enemy. They may genuinely believe they're keeping you safe. But safety is not the same as freedom, and stability is not the same as growth. The psychology of such interactions is complex. People who fear change often project that fear onto those closest to them, and if you're someone they've always known to be steady, they may unconsciously try to preserve that version of you. This is not always malicious, but it can be profoundly limiting. You might find yourself hesitating before making decisions, second-guessing your instincts, or delaying action until you receive their subtle approval. Over time, this can erode your self-trust, making you rely on external validation instead of your own inner compass. In the realm of energy, we understand that relationships are constant exchanges. When you're around someone who, consciously or not, resists your expansion, you'll feel it as a slow leak of enthusiasm. It's not dramatic, it's the gradual dimming of your spark. The smile remains, the voice stays calm, but your spirit feels just a little less alive after each encounter. Recognizing this dynamic isn't about labeling someone as good or bad, it's about acknowledging the effect their presence has on your ability to move forward. Think of your life as a garden. Every plant needs both roots and room to grow. Some people are like protective walls around your garden, shielding you from the wind. But if the walls are too high and unyielding, they also block the sunlight. The very structure meant to protect you becomes the thing that limits you. In your case, Libra, your natural desire to keep those walls intact or maintain harmony can keep you from noticing that your flowers are leaning toward the light outside those walls. You might be tempted to explain away your feelings, telling yourself that you're being overly sensitive or that you should appreciate the care they're showing. But sensitivity is not a flaw. It's the way your soul reads the room. When you feel that subtle heaviness after an interaction, trust that feeling. It's the same intuition that has guided you through other turning points in your life, and ignoring it now would only deepen the pattern. One of the most liberating realizations you can have is that you can honor someone's role in your life while also acknowledging that their energy no longer supports your next chapter. This doesn't require confrontation or dramatic exits. Sometimes, it's about gently shifting the balance, investing more time in spaces and relationships that uplift you, and less in those that keep you looping in place. And here's where the lesson deepens. The golden glass cage can only exist if you choose to stay in it. The moment you decide to step beyond it, the walls begin to lose their power. It starts with a single conscious act, making one decision without seeking their reassurance, sharing your dream without bracing for their reaction, or simply letting their opinion pass through you without altering your course. Each of these moments is a crack in the glass, letting more light in. So I'll ask you this: have you ever known someone whose presence left you inexplicably tired, yet you couldn't quite name why? If your answer is yes, you're not alone. Your story might be exactly what another person needs to hear to recognize their own cage. Share it. Let it be a beacon. Because every time you speak your truth, you not only free yourself, you make it easier for someone else to step into their own light. It's easy to forget how heavy a mask can become when you've been wearing it for so long that it feels like part of your skin. For Libra, the mask of harmony is one of the most convincing disguises in the zodiac. You have a gift for smoothing the edges, for keeping the peace, for holding relationships together even when the ground beneath them is uneven. And yet, that same gift can slowly turn into a quiet burden. You tell yourself you're just avoiding unnecessary conflict, but underneath, there's a steady erosion of your own voice. Each time you choose silence over truth, each time you adjust your tone so no one feels uncomfortable, you tip the scales a little more against yourself. In the cosmic language of astrology, Libra is the keeper of balance, but true balance isn't about making sure everyone else is happy while you quietly absorb the cost. Imagine the scales you carry: on one side, the comfort of others, on the other, your own needs, dreams, and boundaries. When one side is always weighted down, no amount of elegance or grace can make it right. Over time, this false balance becomes a kind of illusion you present to the world, a stage where everything looks calm, but backstage is a silent battle to keep yourself from disappearing. From an energetic perspective, this pattern doesn't just affect your emotions, it shapes the entire frequency you carry into the world. When you suppress your truth to maintain a facade of harmony, your energy field begins to vibrate at a slower, heavier rate. That vibration acts like a magnet for situations and people who reinforce the same stagnation. It's not that the universe is punishing you, it's simply that energy seeks resonance. The longer you wear the mask, the more you draw to yourself the very dynamics that require you to keep it on. There's a deep irony here: the very thing you think will keep the peace is the thing that keeps you stuck. Harmony that comes at the expense of authenticity is not harmony at all, it's quiet conflict turned inward. And while you may avoid external arguments, your inner self is constantly negotiating, bargaining, and compromising in ways that slowly drain your life force. If you've ever felt that strange mix of exhaustion and restlessness after a perfectly pleasant interaction, that's your spirit reminding you it wasn't truly fed by the exchange. The path forward doesn't require you to become combative or to abandon your natural diplomacy. Instead, it asks for a subtle but profound shift, to let your definition of peace include yourself. That means giving yourself permission to let the scales tip toward you when needed. It might start with something small: a quiet no to a request you don't have the capacity to fulfill, or allowing yourself to express an opinion even if it's not met with approval. These acts may feel unfamiliar at first, but they're the cracks that let authenticity shine through. You can anchor this shift with a simple daily ritual. Write in your journal: I am allowed to say no. I do not need to sacrifice to be accepted. Let these words settle in you, not as a mantra of rebellion but as a promise to your own soul. The more you affirm them, the more your energy field recalibrates, attracting people and situations that honor your boundaries instead of testing them. If you're ready to remove the mask, even for a moment, claim it now. Say it out loud, or write it where you can see it: I am taking off the mask of false balance. Share it in the comments so you're not just whispering it to yourself, you're declaring it to a space where your truth is witnessed. This is how you begin to replace the weight of a mask with the lightness of being fully seen. And in that lightness, real harmony, one that includes you, finally has room to exist. Some of the greatest forces in the universe don't roar, they whisper. For Libra, your gentleness is one of those forces. It's not the absence of strength but the presence of a refined wisdom that comes from lifetimes of learning. You don't need to demand attention or push your way forward. Your energy naturally draws people in. That softness others notice in you isn't weakness, it's the quiet authority of someone who can sense when a room is in balance and when something is just a shade off. You felt it countless times, that subtle shift in the air when someone's words don't match the tone in their voice, or when their smile carries the faint weight of something unsaid. This is the essence of your intuitive gift. It's not dramatic, it's not always something you can explain in concrete terms, but it's precise. You walk into a space and immediately know whether it supports your spirit or drains it. You meet a person and sense, beneath the surface pleasantries, whether they are at ease with themselves or hiding behind a polished facade. Many brush off such impressions, but for you, they are more than impressions, theory, data, energy, and truth rolled into one. Your sign's connection to harmony makes you especially attuned to when that harmony is false, even if you can't yet see the exact source of the disturbance. In numerology, the number 7 resonates with deep inner knowing, the ability to stand still and see what others miss, while the number 2 represents balance, partnership, and the quiet power of understanding without force. These 2 numbers are woven into the fabric of your soul's blueprint, guiding you toward a life that doesn't just look balanced but feels balanced at the core. When you live from this place, you are a healer by presence alone. Your very existence in a space can soften tensions, open hearts, and realign energies. To connect more deeply with this strength, you might try a simple but revealing practice. Write down 3 moments from the past month when you felt someone was hiding something, even if they didn't say a word. Don't filter it or justify it, just record it. This isn't about accusing anyone, it's about acknowledging that your inner compass has been speaking to you all along. By bringing these moments to the surface, you affirm to yourself that your intuition is worth honoring. Too often, the world teaches us to override these quiet truths. We're told to be reasonable, to demand proof before trusting what we feel. But your gift as a Libra isn't about hard evidence, it's about reading the spaces between words and noticing the subtle shifts most ignore. When you start treating those instincts as valid, your entire energy shifts. And here's the remarkable thing, the law of attraction responds to that shift. The moment you begin living in alignment with your authentic vibration, the people who have relied on your politeness to mask their own imbalance will begin to drift away. Not because you've pushed them, but because the frequency you hold no longer resonates with theirs. This is how your gentle power works. It doesn't need to control or confront to create change. It simply becomes so clear, so steady, that anything out of alignment either transforms or moves aside. By honoring your intuition, you invite in relationships and spaces where you don't have to scan for hidden currents, because the current itself is pure. And when you allow yourself to live in that flow, your softness becomes a shield, your awareness becomes a guide, and your life begins to shape itself into the balance you've always sought, not the balance others expected of you, but the one your soul has known all along. Sometimes, just when you've finally felt the air clear and the horizon open, a shadow from your past appears again, not with fanfare or drama, but with a whisper. It could be an old message popping up unexpectedly on your phone, the familiar taste of a meal you once shared, or a dream so vivid it leaves you with the lingering warmth or ache of a person you thought you'd left behind. These moments rarely come when life is stagnant. They arrive right when you're preparing to step into something new, as if the universe is holding up a mirror and asking, "Are you truly ready to cross this threshold?" What makes this return so deceptive is that it often carries a softness that feels safe. The words may be wrapped in nostalgia, the tone drenched in familiarity. They might say they've changed, that they understand now, that they regret what happened. And part of you, the part that remembers the comfort, the shared history, wants to believe it. But deeper than that, in the place your intuition lives, you can sense that this is not a doorway back into love. It's a checkpoint, a divine test to confirm that you've chosen yourself for real this time. In astrology, these moments are like Saturn's lessons, firm, unyielding, and determined to make sure you've learned before you move forward. The energy doesn't come to punish, it comes to see whether you will act from your old patterns or from the self-worth you've cultivated. You may notice your mind recalling only the good parts, smoothing over the sharp edges of what really happened. That is the past trying to rewrite itself, hoping you'll trade your progress for a sense of comfort that never truly fit you. The truth is, letting them back into your life is not the only way to honor what you once had. Forgiveness does not require re-entry. You can choose to release the weight without reopening the door. One gentle but powerful practice is to write down their name on a blank sheet of paper, and underneath it, write a letter of forgiveness. In this letter, speak freely, acknowledge the hurt, thank them for the lessons, and affirm the growth you've found because of it. Then, instead of sending it, either tear it into small pieces or safely burn it, allowing the smoke or fragments to carry away the energetic hold they've had on you. As you do, say to yourself, "I forgive, but that does not mean I allow." This act isn't about them at all, it's about clearing the residue from your own energy field. It's a declaration to yourself and to the universe that you value your peace more than you fear being alone. And here is where the law of attraction becomes so beautifully evident. When you make that choice, you align with a frequency that cannot be matched by relationships rooted in stagnation. You begin to attract people and opportunities that are moving in the same direction you are forward. So if you feel that familiar pull when the past knocks at your door, pause and ask yourself if opening it will move you toward the life you've been building, or if it will tether you to a cycle you've already completed. Sometimes the greatest act of love for yourself and even for them is to keep the door closed, to let both of you continue your journey separately. In doing so, you honor the lessons learned, you protect the new foundation you've worked so hard to build, and you step fully into the next chapter, unburdened and unapologetically free. Freedom, in its truest form, is not about outmaneuvering someone else or proving a point. It's about consciously withdrawing your energy from spaces, relationships, and situations that no longer feed your growth. It's the quiet but powerful act of saying, "This no longer serves me," and redirecting that energy toward what actually brings you peace. For Libra, this shift is transformative because so much of your journey has been about maintaining equilibrium for the sake of others. The moment you decide that your inner balance matters more than external approval, everything changes. Imagine stepping into a life where you no longer shrink yourself to fit the expectations of the room you walk into. There is no more calculating your words to avoid disrupting the comfort of others. Instead, you allow your natural rhythm to lead you, your thoughts, your dreams, your voice flowing without apology. You're no longer living for the nods of validation, you're living in a way that makes you wake up with a lightness in your chest, knowing that your day will be spent in alignment with your truth. That is the life of a Libra who has learned the difference between being liked and being at peace. And in that space of peace, you'll find something even more remarkable: you become magnetic to the right people. These aren't companions who need to manage you, mold you, or limit you. They are those rare souls who walk beside you, not ahead or behind. They don't see your independence as a threat, but as an invitation to rise alongside you. In their presence, you will never have to bargain for the right to be fully yourself. Instead, you will feel illuminated not because they light you up, but because they reflect back the light you've already been carrying. This is the promise the universe offers. When you choose yourself without guilt, the people who are truly meant for you will choose you without condition. But that choice must begin with you. It's a decision you make over and over, even in small ways, declining an invitation that feels heavy, speaking your truth in a gentle but unshakable tone, prioritizing rest when the world demands hustle. Each choice is a declaration that your well-being is non-negotiable. One simple yet profound way to anchor this transformation is to write your own personal vow. It doesn't have to be complicated. A single sentence can hold the weight of a lifetime's shift. Write it down, say it aloud, let it echo within you. I am the keeper of the scales of light, and today, I choose myself. Keep it somewhere visibly in your mirror, your phone screen, or in your journal so you're reminded daily that your freedom is not something you wait for, it's something you practice. The beauty of this kind of freedom is that it isn't fleeting. It's not dependent on circumstances or on the approval of others. Once you've learned to recognize the spaces that nourish you and the ones that deplete you, and once you've built the courage to walk away from the latter, no one can take that awareness from you. It becomes a part of your being, an unshakable truth you carry into every new chapter. And from that place, life begins to arrange itself differently, more gently, more honestly, more in your favor, because you are finally living as the Libra you were always meant to be. You don't need to be chosen, Libra, because you have already chosen yourself. That is the quiet, unshakable truth at the heart of everything we've shared today. The illusion of safety, the one that kept you in rooms that felt familiar but slowly drained your spirit, can no longer hold you. You see it for what it is now, not a shelter, but a ceiling. You are not here to be managed, to be made small, or to be contained within someone else's definition of enough. You are the still miracle, the light that shines without asking for permission, the living proof that gentleness and power are not opposites but partners. When you release the need for approval, you stop mistaking comfort for belonging. There is a subtle but life-changing difference between what is familiar and what is right for your soul. Familiarity can soothe you into staying in the same place. Alignment can call you into a future that feels expansive, alive, and deeply real. I want you to remember this in moments when the past comes knocking, when old patterns try to disguise themselves as love or safety. Your spirit already knows the answer. The choice now is yours every single day to live as if you believe that answer. To walk away from what diminishes you, even when it calls in a voice you once trusted. To keep your boundaries without apology. To welcome relationships, work, and opportunities that meet you where you are and celebrate where you're going. This is not about rejecting everyone else, it's about no longer rejecting yourself. And I want to ask you, when was the last time you felt truly free in your own skin? What small shift could you make today that would bring that feeling closer? Could it be saying no to something that no longer resonates? Could it be speaking up where you've been silent? Could it be taking 1 hour for yourself without guilt? Your life doesn't transform in giant leaps, it transforms in the quiet, repeated decision to choose yourself in the details. You've heard me say it before, but I'll say it again. You are not too much, too sensitive, or too slow for anyone who is meant for you. The ones who truly belong in your life will not need to dim your light to feel comfortable. They will stand beside you as equals, mirrors, and co-creators of a shared vision. And those who cannot do that will naturally fade away when you stop making yourself smaller to keep them close. If any part of this message has stirred something inside you, let's make it real. Write in the comments, "I choose myself." Let this be your public declaration to the universe, a way of planting your flag in the ground and saying, "I will not trade my growth for someone else's comfort." And if you have ever experienced someone's kindness as a way to keep you from moving forward, share your story. Your truth might be the key someone else needs to unlock their own cage. Thank you for being here with me, for listening with both your mind and your heart. Every like, every comment, every subscription brings you closer to this growing family at Zodiac Whisper Tarot, where we are committed to helping you remember who you really are and what you came here to do. Your support doesn't just keep this channel alive, it keeps the light moving forward. So stay with this energy, carry it into your next choice, and know that you have the power to shape your life in a way that feels honest, vibrant, and free. And if this video has awakened something in you, please like, subscribe, and share it so that this light can continue to reach the souls who are ready for it. You've already chosen yourself, Libra. Now live as if nothing could make you forget it.